Confessions 2 is here. All right, we got to talk about a moment, because this is a moment. You know, Madonna has been doing this for so many years. You know, she dropped into New York City with $35 in her pocket. Oh, yes. Now, before I say anything, we have got to realize that $35 in her pocket years and years and years and years and years ago to establish a career. She wanted to be a dancer and has done so much more than just dance, is incredible. Career longevity is incredible. Career longevity, though, sometimes does come with a bit of a tension in the way of, you know, you should age to, you know, a certain standard, and, you know, why are you hanging on to, you know, this or that. And I think what makes Madonna special, and Confessions 2 really special, is that it's about her writing her own story, and the music teamed up with Stuart Price. Very dance, very fun, very like a good vibe for right now. To me, was all right on the timing of the way she wanted to do things. And that's the thing about Madonna. She will march to the beat of her own drum. All right, so listen, my name is Randomly Ronnie Jr. I've got about 1,500 episodes, so please like, comment, and subscribe, all that. And of course, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/randomly Ronnie Jr. Now listen, I am a huge Madonna fan. Who isn't? And what she has accomplished over all these years is pretty miraculous. It really, really is. March to the beat of her own drum is kind of the way to say it. And she's done what she's wanted. She's tested her own boundaries, and she's created her own boundaries. I was recently doing a particular episode where I was talking about, you know, her age, 67 years old, and maybe the certain standards of what should and shouldn't be done. And the one thing I thought of, and it just came to me, was, you know, Madonna being you know, growing up and before she moved to New York City from Michigan, you know, she did lose her mother at a young age. So in many ways, she's living out this fantasy that maybe her mother could never have even dreamed of. And I think if you break it down in that way, it kind of does feel that way. I didn't really get that connection too much, and then I listened to Madonna and Lourdes with the song The Test, right? And that is Madonna's daughter, and their connection, and their, you know, like everybody, the unique connection of highs and lows with relationships with family, with motherhood and the daughter and stuff of that nature. And so I tied that all together when I was listening to the record and hearing that particular song, The Test, that like Madonna, you know, is just really like everybody else, just trying to make it all work. And sometimes you draw from different bits of inspiration. Going towards the older generation, she did not get to grow up, you know, in her 20s, in her 30s, and share those great memories with her mother. She didn't. And now what is that experience like with her daughter and the next generation? And I think that's what makes this whole 67 years old, you know, maybe she should give it a rest, hang it up. It makes that narrative feel really silly to me, because she's doing what, you know, it's like you don't have dreams and goals and not foster them out to as big as you would like. You go for it all. And Madonna always reminds you that just go for it all. And yeah, you'll have some mistakes, you'll have some eras that maybe aren't the best, but you'll always push through. And this rise of excitement for Madonna, this newness, it just feels fresh. It doesn't feel like Madonna is holding on. And the Confessions 2, though it may not be what the first Confessions on a Dance Floor felt like, it just feels right for now, Confessions 2. It really does. I got a whole handful of songs that I really love. I think it was perfect for the summer, the vibrancy of it. So, yeah, what do I know about Madonna? You know, probably as much as the next person. I'm certainly not like a super duper hardcore Madonna fan, but I do love her. I went to go see the Celebration tour. Yes, that was good. And that was challenging because she had her concert scheduled, and then, of course, she got sick and it got pushed back. But not all those dates got reimbursed, you know. Well, actually, the one that I purchased did get reimbursed, and it got moved to a different night, and I never ended up buying the new ticket. Luckily, for Christmas, I did get the Celebration Tour concert tickets, and I got to see it, not even in the location I had planned to see it. I planned to see it in New York. I ended up seeing it in Los Angeles at the Forum, the Kia Forum. So to see that, was incredible. And I talked about that wonderful experience, and my gosh, Madonna she did it great, because that particular tour was saying, I'm going to give you the 40 years. I'm going to give you the full 40 years. And she typically wouldn't do something like that, going to the older songs, the songs that, we were into back in the day, and that was really special. So I did go see that, and again, like I said, I'm being very aware of the real super duper Madonna fans. Like, they know everything. So if I say Madonna did this in the 80s, she did this in the 90s, they'd be like, no, it's not, that was in 2002. No, it's not, that was a feature on this album. So I don't know Madonna like that, I give you that. But I did go to the Celebration Tour, and look what I happen to have in my hand. Okay, I happen to have a CD, the Madonna Like a Virgin, from the actual back in the day 80s. Like, don't talk to me about Madonna. I am a Madonna fan, I guess, in this case, right? Anyways, now that all that nonsense is cleared, I just had to say it because, when you talk about Madonna, people get very, very excited about the stats, this, that, and the other. And really all I wanted to do here was talk about Confessions 2 on how well and how excited it fed me. It really put me in a very good headspace. Like, I was like, okay, this feels now like music that's like songs of the summer, like I could vibe out to. It was slightly a difference from pop music and more into dance music, and the combination with Stuart Price feels great about now. It really does. So right off the beginning, you have I Feel So Free, which was the sort of lead promotional vehicle for this album. So you've heard it enough times. It got you excited. It set the tone for what you would be listening to on Confessions 2. But following that up directly with Good for the Soul and One Step Closer, to me, this right out of the beginning of this record, I was like, I'm in, because these were the songs that really connected you more on like a peace and serene level. It wasn't like you got Danceteria just yet. Of course, that's what maybe is the song that, or Bizarre, what everyone's talking about, but really setting the tone. And that's the thing about music these days. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, was my heyday, here, there, and everywhere. But albums back in the day really used to have that full concept. It wasn't just single on top of single, feature on top of feature, what will go viral. And I think that really, in my opinion, as an older 40-year-old, Confessions 2, it made sure that it led that up real nicely. Like, it teed it up really, really nicely. Those 3 songs in a row. I will say, Good for the Soul, as far as lyrically, amazing, because you're going to connect. But One Step Closer, not just the lyrics, but even the vibrational, the sonic energy of it, to me was so great. It was really, really cool. I listened to that song quite a bit as Confessions 2 just came out. I probably have listened to it close to 20 times. It is one of my favorites on the album. Now, I'm not going to go through every song, and of course I did sort of talk about the test with Lourdes and, being her daughter, the daughter-mother combination with music and even storytelling. I did talk about that. So I'm not going to go through each song, but I will kind of just speak on some that really, stuck with me. So Bizarre, Bizarre's that kind of song. That Love Sensation too. That I don't know if it'll like make you think of memories or it will make you want to have new memories. There are times where you feel like you get knocked down a little bit, which is so It makes sense. You know, there's a lot of reasons to get knocked down. And sometimes what I felt in this Confessions 2 album is these songs kind of brought you back into remembering, like, who the F you are, you know? And when you hear some of the words, the lyrics in Bizarre, in Love Sensation, I don't know, like, it kind of gives you a little sassy energy about, like, an old memory from back in the day, whatever you were doing, what you were doing it. And then it makes you think like, okay, summer is here. Let me get it together and let me, get out on the dance floor and do this and do that. You know what I mean? So it's just really, really cool that these songs were so electric, that in Bizarre and Love Sensation. I love sonically to just get behind a dance record, to kind of, whether you're out there on the dance floor drinking or even if you're drinking water and you're sober, it's really more about the music and the energy and the community, if you can be in those environments. And I think that song displays it so well. Whether you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube Music, or you're in a packed crowd, it still feels the same. And I think that's what's so special about those two songs. All right, the song that is so important is Danceteria. Grew up in LA, but I've always loved New York City since day one. I think I was as young as 6 or 7 years old, and I was like, where is our Studio 54 in Los Angeles? Like, I just always loved New York energy, specifically New York nightlife and all the excitement that was. So for Danceteria to be so great in the way of storytelling, it means a lot. It really, really does. And I feel like it's a little bit of a love letter to the experience of Madonna and everything that she had done and went through. Thinking back to the early days, coming from $35 in my pocket, and, she wanted to do what she wanted to do, and she wanted to be a dancer, and all the little twists and turns, some good, some not so good, led her to where she was going to go. Remember, she was out there deep in Queens, and she was leading the band for, what was it, something in the Breakfast Club, that was like an era of her music, when she was playing, was it drums or guitar or both? It's like she's been through all these different places, but Danceteria being the special, this really incredible special moment, Everybody, the song, the very, the moment that Madonna became Madonna was, Everybody, and that being, we now being able to see footage of her singing Everybody as a gal in her 20s, not even knowing where her career would go. That was right there at Danceteria, the venue Danceteria. And so it is fitting that song not only is written well and the storytelling takes you there, but it's fitting that it sounds so damn good too. Like she's name referencing a whole bunch of people that were important to, that curation of art that made her, and the friends she was with, Debbie Mazar, being name recognized is amazing. She of course mentioned a lot of different people, some of which are no longer with us, and it just was done really well. And I think like whenever that Danceteria really catches on, which it already has, it just is kind of, I would say, her love letter to her experience with chasing that dream, And in some ways, thinking about Danceteria and her singing Everybody all those years ago, I'm just saying a second ago, like, oh, she maybe didn't know, in her wildest dreams who she would be. But then again, this is Madonna. She probably was not timid at all. She was probably like, let's do this gig, let's do this venue, and let's have fun, of course. She was having fun. But she always probably knew how successful and how impactful she was going to be. She just, that's a mindset a lot of times, and I feel like it's important that we all remember that. It's so easy to forget that. I think I was in a conversation the other day, I'm talking about something career or aspirational, and a friend had to come right in and say, no, remember, you are, randomly Ronnie, and if we believe it, we can achieve it. And I don't know, am I just too crazy to think Danceteria spoke to that in so many ways, and not only sounded good on the basis of the lyrics, but also like was a great song. Like, they're not messing around with Confessions 2. Like, Madonna is like here to prove a point. Like, 67 years old, Turned down for what? She's not stopping anytime soon. And really, if you break it down too, like of her generation, that 80s music video, kind of the first time a lot of that had happened, she's one of the only ones who, is still out there and going for her chasing her wildest dreams. There isn't a Michael Jackson, there isn't a Prince, there isn't a George Michael, with us anymore. So if you break that down too, she really does stand on her own in so many ways. And yeah, maybe the next thing she does will be a complete antithesis of a dance record, and that would be good too. I always love the differences that Madonna had done over the years. I always like her reinvention. That's why we liked Madonna to begin with, was career reinvention. So when it's talked about like, oh, she should give it up, she's too old, or this or that, it's like, well, okay, this is going to be this moment. She will reinvent yet again. And that's really fun for every single person. If you're working your 9-to-5 job, as a person, you could get stagnant. No, you could reinvent yourself at any time, is what I think. As long as it's positive and good vibes. And in this album, and specifically the song Danceteria, it's definitely good vibes. Okay, so here's another song that I really liked, Read My Lips. Read My Lips, I really enjoyed. And that was maybe in the second or third listening of the album. It really just kept coming to me. Sonically, really, really good. Sonically, like a nice little vibrational, like she's going to get busy in this record. Now, she's teaming up with an artist. Now, forgive me because I don't know his music like that. FEID, I believe is the name, FIED, something of that nature. He's a producer, he's a music producer too, and he's dating, oh no, is it Rosalia or is it Anita? One of the gals, one of the it gals, he's dating her. That's the most that I know. But it's perfect because it really is like, my dusty 40-year-old self talking about who are these people? I don't know everybody. Everybody. No, I don't know, these newer generation artists sometimes. So to get them to feature on this Madonna record and to fit so seamlessly was good. Read My Lips is the jam in my opinion. I love that song. All right, so I also wanted to make mention, again, I'm not going to go each song one by one, but we could talk about each song, like, comment, subscribe. So in those comments, of course, what are your favorite songs? Where did she hit a home run? Where was she just right there, but maybe, something different could have made it a better record. But generally, I think they were all pretty good. So yes, that's where we could weigh in on that. But for right now, I wanted to say LES Girl, which is the last song, very melodic, slows you down. It's like going to a yoga class, and the last 10 minutes is the cool down. And, as I said before, have always had a big reverence and adoration for New York City. So for her to paint the picture almost slower and more calm as that LES girl all those years ago was nice. You almost got to wonder when she gets into the songwriting process, how much, because she's grown so much, but what does that feel like when you sort of, in a good way, regress back to that particular era that you almost felt like, how am I going to get out of this? I'm in this situation. I want to be the world's biggest artist and I've got nothing, no money, no access, but I'm just going to do what I got to do. And telling the story of LES Girl is how I felt it. It's how I took it. All right, so there you go. I just wanted to do a couple little like Madonna Confessions 2, review, commentary, talking points, because, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot, and it is unbelievable. And it's never for granted that an artist will continue to have a moment much later in their career. A lot of times it happens when they're younger, and it's like lightning in a bottle, and it happens once, twice, 3 times. It's been happening for Madonna forever. Now, she has peaks and valleys. She has had peaks and valleys in her career, absolutely. And something about this did tell you, no, she's still going. This is like funny even. It's comical how great this feels, how much she filled a void, maybe a void of happiness, a void of vibrancy. I was putting the promotional teaser, which had all, not all, but like some of the songs, and that wonderful, Kate Moss was in that particular music assemblage, and I was watching it with a friend, and they were like blown away by just, all the passion and the artistry and the visuals. They were so captivating in ways that sometimes have fell by the wayside lately, and almost taking you back to, in the 90s, late 90s. I was, almost 18 years old. So like that era made me feel like I'm about to take on the world in such a great way, and to have something that was sort of reminiscent of that for now's generation too, felt good. It was modern, but yet it was a callback. It was a callback to high fashion. It was a callback to 90s, the elegance that was, in a very 2000, 26 era, which was so great, I thought. All right, so that's just a little bit of what I think about Confessions 2. Now, forgive me, as I said, I am a big fan of Madonna, yes, but am I one of those super fanatics that knows each and everything? 1980 this, 1990 that, 2000, and I don't know it all like that. But I do love Madonna. Well, as we say, Madonna, Louise, Veronica Ciccone. Yes, I do. Love the career that she assembled. Truth or Dare of the 90s was such a big deal for so many reasons, so many ways, and so many who, what, where, and whys. And it lives on. That art lives on, like a Truth or Dare. So I've always really enjoyed her. And to see her in concert, the Celebration Tour in Los Angeles at the Kia Forum was very special to me. And the irony that I happen to have a Madonna CD back from, that era is pretty incredible. I just made sure that I was like, okay, respect to the Madonna super fans. I'm not in it like that, but I love what this woman has done. I find it so odd when her age gets talked about in such a way. It seems like it shouldn't matter. March to the beat of your drum, as long as you're not hurting nobody, and as long as fans and people are in support of it and it brings them joy, what difference does it make? It really does tell you to kind of be that individual. If we weren't individuals, well, what would be the point? Individual excitement is always really good, and she's just done so much. So yeah, I don't know. Madonna, there you go. BITCH, she's Madonna. What are the songs? What are the jams? What are we loving? I didn't talk about all of them, but these are the ones that stuck out to me. These were the songs that stuck out to me personally. One Step Closer, Good for the Soul, obviously Bizarre is gonna go there, but that Danceteria, oh my god, to have been in New York City at that era would have been, I need stories, I need more stories, I need to know what podcasts to go listen to or what shows that really continue to tell that story, because that was so exciting and such a nod to the art that we love. We'll see what's going to happen. Confessions 2, how well will it do successfully wise? And will this draw up a tour? I'm sure it will or is, and I'll be there. I would love to go to Confessions 2. And big kudos to Madonna, Louise Veronica Ciccone, the Leo, August 16th birthday, for being 67 and doing it the way she wanted to do it, and giving us an album along with Stuart Price that just felt good. That Times Square performance, I tell you, wow. It was incredible. Confessions 2, what are your overall thoughts on the full album? What do you rate it? 5 stars? 1 star? What do you rate it? And what songs stick out to you the most? What's the big hits? Lourdes, her daughter, with Madonna, the mother, the Test. I mean, was that the biggest song? Was that the most impactful song? I mean, it was really, really good, right? So we'll see. I'll tell you one thing. It was good for the soul. I can't sing. I can't sing. All right, Madonna, Confessions 2. Buy it, celebrate it. Yeah, and that's it.
Hey, Ronnie.